I am so excited because today joining us via Skype will be Bishop-elect Bill Byrne from the Diocese of Springfield. He's newly appointed there. His ordination will be on December 14th. And of course, most viewers know that's my home diocese, so you know yes. I'm like total fangirling here. But we're going to talk about his book from Loyola Press, and we're going to talk about the ordination installation. Thanks so much, Bishop, for being with us.
And Bonnie, one of my first convictions is that Springfield produces beautiful things, and you're one of them.
Oh, thank
Praise
you.
God.
Aren't you good? Aren't you good? You're going to love it there, I promise you. And of course, you're in a great situation there, right from the Dr. Seuss Park. And my sister-in-law, Dawn, is across the street. So you're in a beautiful neighborhood. It's a great city. I'm excited for you.
I'm very excited.
But first things first, how is Zelly liking her new home in the 413?
Zelly, well, last night was our first night in the house. And in the process, I somehow set off the alarm, which is something akin to like a gulag in Siberia. The alarm system, there were, both Zelly and I were trying to hide under the couch until I could figure out how to turn it off. So it was a rocky start, but she's getting more and more comfortable. She's at my feet right now.
Oh, that's great. I saw a picture on social media of Zelly at a recent confirmation you did. Or was
yes.
that? Yeah. So that's beautiful.
We did it also. I blessed a preschool. She was there yesterday.
That's what it was. Yes. Thank you. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So Zelly accompanies you everywhere. So that's a great thing. That'll be,
She's calling herself the Episcopop.
I love it, the Episcopop. That's great. That's great.
She's very clever, that.
Well, certainly given this opening dialogue, your book from Loyola Press, great publishers, focuses on hope, humor, and help, all of which are in great demand these days. But you also focus on, a theme of living in the everyday. Tell us about the approach in the book.
So here's my little book right here. Loyola did a magnificent job. And the idea is that God's revealing himself constantly to us. And if we can start opening our eyes, our hearts, our minds, we begin to see how he shows us through the smallest things. Like I said in the first chapter, 5 things I've learned about God from my dog. That God reminds us of we need to be patient like our dog is patient when we look at that type of a situation. So if we can just begin to start to train our hearts, then we start to feel that hope flood our soul. And boy, are you talking, we need it so bad right now, don't we?
For sure. There's no doubt about that people are struggling to find these glimmers of hope. And I love that was included in your motto, tying your book to your new role as Bishop-elect. But I also want to talk about a couple of the chapters because I particularly loved the delightful mysteries of the Rosary. And of course, as a person of Springfield, my parish was Sacred Heart. And of course, you've got a chapter on Sacred Heart. So tell us a little bit about those 2 chapters.
Well, when I go out for a walk and I said my rosary and I'm still walking, I start making them up. And so the delightful mysteries talks about these unexpected moments in Mary's life when she's attending Jesus' soccer game, or the wild gifts that the Magi bring her, gold, frankincense, and myrrh when she needs diapers. And but that's one example. And then the other, I've always had a great devotion to the Sacred Heart, and because the Sacred Heart is this visual image of how we can understand how Jesus can be both true God and true man, a human heart on fire with divine love. And in that image of a flaming heart, we begin to see just that moment. You know, if we could go back in time and let's say we took a sonogram with us, and there's Mary out shortly after the Annunciation, we would put we'd hear a beating heart, and that moment to say, wait a second, our God has a heart.
Yeah.
A heart that gets broken, a heart that gets leaps for joy. So that's just one example of the, that from the wounded heart of Jesus, as he's hanging on the cross and the spear is thrust into his side, out from that pours blood and water. That's the life of the church, baptism and Eucharist. So from Jesus's wound comes not bitterness, but blessing, the most sublime blessing. And that Sacred Heart reminds us that we all are wounded in some way. But do we lash out or do we love out? And that's what the Sacred Heart, what's one of the things the Sacred Heart reminds us?
Oh, that's so beautiful. I love that imagery. And of course, anyone who's ever had an ultrasound during a pregnancy, always that joy at hearing the heartbeat is just palpable. It's just a beautiful, beautiful thing.
It is so great.
Yeah. Now, other beautiful things include a beautiful foreword from actress Roma Downey. Tell us a little bit about that connection.
So Roma and I went to, I did a bunch of videos when she was doing, she and her husband Mark Burnett were doing 80 the Bible, these different series that were on TV. And I did a series of videos called The Catholic Take.
Yes.
So that we could highlight, they were meant for a general audience, but so that we could highlight particular themes, either themes about our Blessed Mother, or highlight elements that were Eucharistic in nature or the nature of the church, to draw them out for a Catholic audience. And so she came to Washington once and invited me to lunch, and we just hit it off. And like, I don't know, marshmallows and chocolate on a s'more, you know, we were great. So after that, I would saw them out at their home in Malibu, and she was gracious enough to write the foreword amidst the many busy things that she does. So she and her husband are people of great faith. They're lovers of the Lord.
That's great. It's beautiful. We've interviewed her before. She is just delightful. We're definitely going to talk about the ordination and installation, but I do want to talk a little bit about the dedication of the book to your mom and dad. How many, like, these are like a lot of life hacks in here, just like in your videos. How much of that humor have they influenced for you?
Oh, they continue. My father's with the Lord right now, so he's laughing in the moaner's box right now. But my mother is 97 and a half and still can sing with what an Irish wit, with the same deftness that she could do years ago. And so my parents were faithful Catholics, daily communicants, both of them. In fact, my dad would go to 6:30 Mass, and then he'd come home and he would make coffee and bring my mother up a cup of coffee every morning to wake her up. And so but they were fun. They were enjoyed life, and so they were the best of what Catholicism can be. Not a dour, but a smiling faith. Yeah. I remember my mother would go down every week and work in a soup kitchen in the middle of Washington, and being on a field trip with her when I was a little boy down to the museums, and a homeless guy comes up, which from my eyes seemed scary, and he looks at my mother and says, "Hello, Mary, how are you?" And my mom said, "John, it's so good to see you. I'll see you on Tuesday." And so I just saw that faith being worked out in so many ways in their lives. It was all joy.
That's beautiful. Now, when we originally scheduled this interview, you hadn't been named bishop. So tell me, what pithy title would you give that chapter in a new book coming out?
Yeah, I guess it'd be 5 ways to pull your chin off the floor. Because it comes out of blue like a meteor that actually isn't like a meteor, which sort of scorches things. This took me away from a place I love very much, my parish.
Sure.
And I'll always have Our Lady of Mercy sized hole in my heart. But it's bringing me to this whole new experience of a new way of being a priest, of being someone to minister to priests and the people, and to being healing in a very wounded time, both physically and spiritually in our church. And so when I chose the idea of a motto in Living Hope, it's from 1 Peter 1:3. We have all been reborn into a living hope from through the resurrection of Jesus. The resurrection is the key to hope. Hope is not wishing something to happen. Hope is saying, Jesus won already. And now we're working out the details. So it's this confidence that comes from knowing that the tomb was empty. And so the sweating the small stuff in life takes our focus on the building of the kingdom. And that's what real hope is, knowing Jesus rose from the dead.
Thank you so much. You know, I hoped we wouldn't run out of time, but we have. And we are so looking forward to your installation and ordination on the 14th. We're going to air it right here on Catholic TV. And we thank you so we're super excited. And we just look forward to working with you in the future. And I encourage everyone to take, be a great St. Nicholas Day gift or a stocking stuffer for Christmas by Bishop-elect Byrne of the Diocese of Springfield. Thank you so much for being with us, Bishop.
God bless you, Bonnie.